Hello, my name is Dr. Ruth Newstifter, but you can call me Dr. Ruthie. I'm a professional sexuality educator and I blog over at exploringintimacy.com. I also wrote the Nice Girl's Guide to Talking Dirty, but today I'm here thanks to the great folks at funwares.com answering your questions on sex and relationships. If you have a question to send me, you can email it to the address right down there, AskDrRuthie, spelled with an I-E, at funwares.com, or you can also tweet me at DrRuthie, D-R-R-U-T-H-I-E. I have a question that came in here by email, so let's take a look at it. This young lady has emailed me. Me and my man have been together for a little over 3 years now. I'm 22 and he is 34. He has almost no sex drive but did before me. And every time we do happen to have sex, he comes fast. I mean 1 to 5 minutes and I don't. He tells me it's because he gets excited, but I am not so sure. It happens just every time just about. Can you help? Well, I'm so glad that you wrote, because a lot of the questions that you have in here, there's several questions really in this email, are very, very common things that people worry about at some point in their lives. So you're far from alone in this situation. The first thing that I want to suggest whenever someone has a distinct change in their sex drive, or especially a sudden change in the ability to have orgasms, it's very important to go to your family doctor. If you don't have a family doctor, go to the doctor at whatever healthcare center that you're able to access and let them know about this problem. I kid you not, it can be one of the early warning signs of some very serious situations. So I'm talking about situations where everything's fine and suddenly the sex drive changes, and especially suddenly the ability to have an orgasm goes away. And there's not really another situation to chalk it up to, or even if there is, it's really worth checking. So let's talk about this a little more, because you give me some hints that this may not be your situation, but still I want to put that out there. If it sounds like that applies to him, then definitely he needs to get in to see the doctor, so do whatever you need to do to get him there. So let's see. So you've been together for about 3 years. He's a little bit older than you, about 12 years older, and he has no sex drive, but he did before he met you. That can be a really emotionally difficult situation to be in, and I just want to give that a little bit credit here. To be with somebody and to have a higher sex drive from them, but to hear or know that before you were together, their sex drive was just as high as yours, or maybe higher, at least a lot higher than it is now, but now it's not. It's really hard not to take that personally. I appreciate that in your email it doesn't appear that you're taking that personally. I'm glad to hear that. So good job on that. Although, if you do feel that you kind of take it personally at times, there are other issues to talk about here and discuss, that you can feel assured that it's not a personal situation. Or if for some reason it is personal to the relationship, then there are things that you would need to work out there, right? So we want to look at those bigger things as well. Okay, let's talk a little bit about how fast is typical for orgasming. There's not a whole ton of research out there, but there is a little bit. If you're just talking about intercourse time only, so penetration, thrusting time during, penile, vaginal, or penile, whatever, intercourse, then, 1 to 5 minutes is in the average range. It absolutely is in the average range. The problem that seems to be happening here is that it's not lasting as long as you would like. Perhaps 1 to 5 minutes is, from pants off to fall asleep, and it's, intercourse, lots of other stuff too. You're not super clear, so I can't know for sure. But bigger than that, you're not having sex as often as you want, and you're not able to have your orgasms in that time period as well. So here are some thoughts. First off, the pressure and the performance anxiety makes everything go downhill really, really fast. It's hard to even know what problems exist without the pressure when we have pressure, because it causes so many issues. I hope that makes sense. So when we have that pressure and that performance anxiety going on, we have to pretty much deal with that first. Well, second, medical issues first, and then performance second. And then once we can, resolve those performance anxiety issues, then we can see if there's really any other problems that exist outside of that. Just knowing that he's in the normal can be helpful for both of you, but that doesn't mean that you have to suddenly catch up and get off in 1 to 5 minutes. What it means is redefining what sex and intercourse means for the two of you, and for each of you individually. So there is no solid official definition of sex. People say sex and they often mean intercourse, but sometimes they mean manual sex and sex toys and oral sex and anal sex and leather sex and all kinds of stuff, and they all have the word sex in them, so it makes sense to consider them as sex, right? When we redefine sex, so it's not just when the penis goes in until when the penis ejaculates, but a larger time period that includes lots of different activities and may not necessarily even include sex. We do a lot of things. We take the performance anxiety off the penis. When all the pressure of good sex is sitting on top of his penis, no wonder it's going to go down. That's just a lot of pressure to have on anybody. And, you know, we do want him to be a good lover. I believe he wants to be a good lover too. I bet that if he felt like everything was going great, some of these performance anxiety issues probably wouldn't be happening, right? I mean, that's the definition of performance anxiety right there. So what we want to do is really expand this so that you're having the kind of pleasure that you want in lots of different ways, and so is he. That means you're enjoying touching each other all over each other's bodies, sharing fantasies with each other if that's what you like, having great orgasms with hands and mouths and sex toys and other things that you really enjoy as well, if that's what if orgasms are what you want to have, which is what it sounds like from this email to me. I had a sudden dog barking break there. So I believe what I was saying is that having sex with hands and mouths and toys and all these great things that you enjoy and really having your pleasure, and maybe intercourse happens and maybe it doesn't, but you know, the old adage, ladies come first, that's a really great motto to have for sex. And that means before intercourse, you know, and that may take some time redefining sex and pleasure for yourself, because if you've always just kind of grown up with the thought that orgasms happen during intercourse, you're probably going to be a little bit disappointed. For a small number of women, some women do have orgasms during intercourse at some points in their lives, and not even necessarily for the ones that do for their whole lives. So the majority of women have orgasms because somebody's touching their clitoris with lots of nice lube and wetness, because they're using toys, because they're using hands and mouths, and fantasies and all those other things, and not from intercourse. Not that intercourse feels bad. Many people, probably most, enjoy intercourse, but it's not the #1 way of getting pleasure for the majority of women, nor is it actually #1 for a lot of guys, according to research. It's in the top 3 for most folks, but it's generally not #1 for best, easiest, most satisfying pleasure. So opening up that definition and really exploring that in your relationship. Now, the nice cross effect that has is that it takes a lot of pressure off from him. So then once things are feeling better, you can kind of reopen that discussion of how you like to have intercourse, and not that we move intercourse back into the only way we have sex again, because trust me, once you open your definitions of sex, you won't want to go back. Your sex life will be a lot better when you have more broad definitions of sex. But it does mean that it takes the pressure off so that your intercourse can be more enjoyable as well if you decide to continue including that. I'm Dr. Ruthie. I hope that this helped out, and I will see you at the next video.